I was looking. There was a language that Jordan Peterson, alpha male, in quotes, Jordan Peterson. He's a professor, I believe. But he has a certain philosophy. The philosophy of pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, that type of stuff. This uber male type of philosophy. Now, some of the stuff I agree with, some of it. But when he gets into areas of capitalism and socialism, is nonsense, especially when he's talking about socialism. My video was going to be on environmental policy because I had a YouTube clip going back, this was weeks ago, I had forgot all about it, where he was sitting there and he was kind of making this argument about, yeah, climate change is complicated. Because it's complicated, there's no reason to do anything about it. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? There are journalists right now making this point that the world is at stake and that, yeah, we need a revolution in regards to the way we go about our structure. Now, the reason he doesn't like the climate change argument, though, has more to do with him considering it an anti-capitalist argument, not so much about the climate change part. Because he doesn't like the anti-capitalist aspect of it, he doesn't necessarily want to do anything about climate change. That was going to be the video. Now, that said, I stumbled onto a video where Sam Cedars' work wife, Michael Brooks, is having a conversation with Richard Wolff. And alpha male, Michael Peterson, apparently ran from a debate with Richard Wolff on capitalism and socialism, more so on socialism, because every so often he would make these videos on socialism. Let's take a listen to Richard Wolff. I love the picture that I'm using for the screenshot. It's like, bring it, sir. I love it. But in this, Richard Wolff is joking him mercilessly as he's describing what took place. It's nice that Michael Brooks has his own show. Good job, Michael Brooks. You're trying to get under the brutal fist of Cedar. But in this case, I like what they were talking about. So let's take a look at the clip.
But not with Jordan Peterson. He must have discovered it, I don't know, early last week, and it's very exciting to him. It's new, it's fresh, and he deals with it as if he just figured it out and is helping us all to recognize this colossal insight he had after one beer.
One cider.
So I said, okay, this is going to be kind of easy. This is sort of childish stuff, and I will say that because
it is.
What are you going to say? and then, so I agreed. I agreed to do the debate. I did eventually go out there when we met there.
You gave a great talk. You spoke about Jordan Peterson for about
I did.
5 minutes.
Yes.
And then you went
because
on to
several
more
weeks,
important things.
several weeks after I accepted, which was I think during the summertime or something like that, I got called back by them, and they told me that the debate was off because Mr. Peterson had, I believe, if I understood the story correctly, increased his fee and quite considerably, and so the university couldn't do that. It's a state university, so they can't do that. And so the debate was off. And clearly the young people who called me were, let me be polite, agitated by this course of events, and so invited me to come out by my lonesome and give a talk in place of the debate that was now off. But Jordan Peterson, whatever his qualifications as a psychologist may be, I don't know, but when it comes to Marxism, this is the worst, silly, dismissive caricature that I've seen in many a year. Used to be common,
right?
But nowadays, people, the kind of people who used to do that easily, they know somehow that doesn't fly anymore, and so they don't do it. But
kind of embarrassing.
Mr. Peterson, he doesn't get it, so he runs it up the flagpole and hopes.
I understand why those students.
Isn't that awesome? Michael Brooks is getting liquored up on camera. That's number one. That's awesome. But also, his point is Jordan Peterson makes this kind of illusion between Stalinism and socialism, and because Stalinism and socialism are linked, that socialism is somewhat of a bad thing. Wolff is making this point of that's childish, and that's not necessarily indicative of reality. And, you know, he would have loved to have this conversation with Peterson if Peterson would have showed up to the debate that he had originally agreed and then changed his mind when he wanted apparently more cash. I mean, he is a capitalist after all. But I strongly suspect that that wanting more cash had to do with, I am going to get embarrassed on that stage. Speculation, I don't know. What I do know is they were supposed to have a debate. I would have gladly watched that debate and see him get eaten alive. One person showed up, the other person did not. Uber male, Jordan Peterson, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But I'm hauling ass from a debate stage with Richard Wolff. To be fair, he's not an economist, he's a psychologist. And Richard Wolff is a foremost Marxist. So you can make an argument that it wouldn't even be an honest or a fair debate on that case. You're talking about a man fighting a child. At least from the standpoint of their political ideologies in response to what one person has been studying for the last 30 years and what the other person knows nothing about, at least going on by the things that he has said in some of these videos. So I'll leave this here. This one wasn't meant to be long. I just thought this one was awesome. Like I said, there are some things that Jordan Peterson says that I even agree with. This thing of the military, like from the standpoint of the left. I'll give you one example. He makes this argument that based on military guidelines, there's a faction of the population that wouldn't be able to do even basic skills. Meaning whatever that percentage, let's say 10% of the population, would be unable to even do the most basic mundane skills from the standpoint of military. And because of that, you have to ask the question of, well, how do those people make ends meet, and what does the society do to make sure those people are intact? Now, from the standpoint of the left has to deal with that honestly, and not just, you know, we want everybody to have jobs and everything else when you've just said these people aren't able to have jobs. I agree with that. Some of this stuff I agree with, where you have to take an honest, sober look from the standpoint of the left and have honest conversations about how do you deal with these particular issues. But on the era of socialism, he knows zero. He knows zero. And raising his fee after agreeing to a debate was most likely a way of, I'm going to get embarrassed on that stage. I don't need to get embarrassed on that stage, so I'm not going to get on that stage. Hey, my fee needs to be dramatically higher than what it originally was. Sorry. Sorry. All right. Like I said, this one wasn't meant to be long. That is correct, Jamal. Jordan Peterson is not qualified to debate government or social structure. No, he's not. He's not. I already had a cool dad, so Peterson's shtick doesn't land with me. Stephen Call. Now, my dad was never around, so that shtick actually does land with me to some degree. It's just when he gets into certain topics where I think he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Just saying. We've just been talking about the same subject. Yeah. I'm not gonna call him chicken shit. It'll be fun. That said, Peterson is an academic who has turned a sideshow curiosity. That's true. Yeah, that's true. I mean, look, when he was on Joe Rogan disemboweled him because he's saying two things that are opposing to one another. This idea of pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, but simultaneously society should look out to males who can't find a woman, who are left to their own devices because these males are ticking time bombs. You can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. I'm sorry. And what Joe Rogan kind of stepped into was, well, wait a minute. You're saying two different things. How do you reconcile those two beliefs? That people should be pulling themselves up by their bootstraps, but by the same token, you want there to be some kind of help for these particular people. In which he had no answer. He had zero answer to that question. So, just saying, I would have loved to see him out there debating Richard Wolff. We're not going to get the opportunity to see them debate Richard Wolff because Jordan Peterson, uber male, ran. I'll leave this here because I don't want this one to go too long. All right, guys. If you enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe. You can always support the content through PayPal or Patreon. Thanks all.